told you the streets had rules. They told you loyalty was everything. They told you snitching was a death sentence in hip-hop. But today, that entire myth collapses because one man, loud, hated, mocked, and locked out, is sitting here, days away from federal prison, saying everything the rap world pretended was sacred is a straight-up lie, not whispered, not hinted, exposed. This isn't about one rapper. This isn't about one case. This is about an entire industry faking street morals while cashing checks behind closed doors. And the craziest part? He says they all knew. He's not running. He's not hiding. He's counting down the days.
I fully, everything that I said that was gonna happen years ago is happening right now. That's why I don't wanna go in, right? Because everybody's realizing that this whole shit is a facade.
That word, facade, that's the crack in the wall. Because once you say that out loud, everything else starts to shake. He's not saying he's scared of prison. He's saying he's watching the truth surface, and he knows what comes next. The masks fall, the lies rot. And suddenly the same people who called him a rat don't want the spotlight anywhere near themselves. And then he goes for the jugular. Not one rapper, not one city, the whole culture.
Right? Everyone's realizing that this shit is just fucking, that these rappers full of shit. These rappers is just, all they do is contradict themselves.
That's not frustration, that's disgust. Because the image they sell you, the don't snitch, stand tall, street loyalty mantra, according to him, it's branding. A costume worn on Instagram, a slogan slapped on albums. A rule that only applies when there's no money on the line. And this is where names start hovering in the air. He doesn't say them softly. He doesn't back away. He brings receipts, tweets, quotes, moments the internet never forgot. And suddenly, the conversation gets very uncomfortable.
You know what I mean? You seen what 21 Savage said that, yo, they knew Gunna was ratting the whole time, but they swept it under their rug because it was convenient for them to keep the city together, right?
Read that again. They knew the whole time, and they did nothing. Why? Because unity sells. Because chaos costs money. Because protecting the brand matters more than protecting the so-called code. And then comes the phrase that should have ended the debate forever.
They said they swept it under the rug and they put the people who's ratting in their city in Atlanta, they swept their dirt under the...
Swept under the rug. Not exposed, not punished, not shunned, hidden. That's not street justice, that's damage control. And once the rug gets lifted, you see what was really being protected. Not loyalty, not brotherhood, money pipelines, label meetings, executive lunches, contracts that needed peace, not principles.
QCP was sitting down with them labels with Steve Barnett at Capitol, and Caroline at Universal, bringing all the label money and signing all these young niggas, right? They were signing Lil Baby, they were signing City Girls, they was giving money to the Migos, right?
Listen closely. This isn't random gossip. This is structure, labels, executives. Cities being kept together because too much money was at stake to let the truth blow everything up. And suddenly, the street code starts sounding less like a rule and more like a marketing slogan. Then he drops the line that makes everything crystal clear.
And then you knew Gunna was on Crime Stoppers, you know T.I. was on Crime Stoppers.
That's why it's come back to that street word, snitch. No one's want to be labeled as a snitch. I don't want to tell on him because somebody might try to come kill me or someone in my family.
Kitchen says Benton first lied to police because he didn't want to rat out another member, Clarence Carter.
Everybody, know, the streets know, and so everybody looking at it like it was wrong because this man would let my family member, you know what I'm saying, go down for something he did.
Some people call me Tip, but this is about another kind of Tip that can help our mothers, our sisters, our brothers, and our fathers help get the perpetrators who commit crimes against them off the streets. All you got to do is call Crime Stoppers Atlanta. Tips can be anonymous, and there's even a reward.
But you kept it a hush. Why? Because it make the city look bad.
That's it. That's the industry in one sentence. You ratted, but you're profitable. You told, but you're connected. You snitched, but you make hits. So suddenly, nobody saw anything. And this is where the hypocrisy explodes. Because the same culture screaming no snitching suddenly gets real quiet when it's their own circle. Read between those lines. It's not about right or wrong. It's about optics. It's about protecting a city's image, a label's value, an artist's momentum. Truth? That's optional. And that's when he says the quiet part part out loud. Not sometimes, not accidentally, conveniently. That's the word that changes everything. Because convenience means choice. Choice means intent. And intent means the street code was never real to begin with. So now the question isn't, did people snitch? The real question is, who gets punished and who gets protected? Because according to him, the rules only apply to the nobodies, the ones without labels, the ones without leverage, the ones who can't make a call and make a problem disappear. And that's where the 5 industry snakes start taking shape. Some named, some implied, some hiding behind tweets, silence, and business deals. And as this story unfolds, one thing becomes impossible to ignore. The streets don't run rap, the labels do. And once you understand that, everything else finally makes sense. Once you accept that the street code bends when money talks, the entire rap ecosystem suddenly looks different. Because now silence isn't loyalty, silence is protection. And the protection doesn't come from the streets, it comes from boardrooms, contracts, and executives who don't care about morals as long as the numbers look good. That's the world he's describing. A world where being labeled a snitch is only dangerous if you're disposable. If you're profitable, if you're connected, if you're moving units, then suddenly the same people preaching no snitching pretend they didn't see anything. And that's where the 5 industry snakes come into focus, not as cartoon villains, but as participants in a system that rewards silence and punishes honesty. Because here's the uncomfortable truth he keeps circling back to. This isn't about law enforcement. This isn't about courtrooms. This is about selective morality. The rules don't apply equally. If you're an upcoming nobody, the code is ironclad. One whisper, and your name is destroyed. Your safety disappears. Your career ends before it starts. But if you're a star, if you've got labels invested, if there's money on the line, then the same behavior gets rewritten as misunderstood, out of context, or quietly buried under the rug. And the industry calls it unity. That's why he keeps coming back to Atlanta, not because Atlanta is unique, but because it's honest about how the machine works. Cities are brands, scenes are markets, artists are investments, and no brand wants its foundation questioned. So when something threatens to fracture the image, the response isn't truth, it's containment. Keep the peace, protect the movement. Don't let the fans see the cracks, because once fans realize the street code is optional, the mythology collapses. And this is where his own role becomes impossible to ignore, because whether people like him or not, he did something the industry hates more than snitching. He talked loudly, repeatedly, publicly, not just about himself, but about everyone else. And that's why he's still radioactive. Not because he broke a code, but because he exposed the double standard. He became the example, the warning label. This is what happens when you don't play along. Notice what he's not saying. He's not claiming he's innocent. He's not asking for sympathy. He's not rewriting his past. He's saying, judge everyone by the same rules. And that's the one thing the industry can't afford. Because if fans apply the same moral lens to everyone, the mythology crumbles. Think about how fast narratives shift. One week, someone is fake. The next week, they're misunderstood. One person's cooperation is snitching. Another person's cooperation is smart. Why? Because power rewrites language. And according to him, that's the real scam. The 5 industry snakes aren't just individuals, they're roles. The rapper who cooperated but stayed silent. The label executive who knew and approved. The city leaders who protected the image. The peers who tweeted the truth, then regretted it. The culture that pretended not to notice. Each one plays a part in keeping the illusion alive. And every time fans chant no snitching, they're unknowingly defending a system that only enforces that rule when it's convenient. That's why his countdown to prison matters, because he's not speaking from safety. He's not doing this after winning. He's doing it right before walking into a cell, and that gives his words a dangerous weight. He's saying, I told you years ago this was fake, and now you're watching it unravel. Look at how quickly people try to dismiss him. He's loud. He's bitter, he's clout chasing, but none of those answers the question he keeps forcing into the conversation. Why were some people protected while others were destroyed? No one wants to answer that, because the answer points straight to money. And that's where the street code officially dies. Because real codes don't have loopholes. They don't bend for chart positions. They don't disappear during label meetings. They don't vanish when executives start calculating losses. If a code only applies to the powerless, it's not a code, it's control. And once you see that, the whole culture feels different. The threats sound hollow. The outrage feels staged. The loyalty looks transactional. Everyone is tough, until the contracts show up. Everyone hates snitching until silence costs too much. That's the contradiction he keeps hammering. So when fans ask, why does he keep talking? The real answer is simpler. Because the industry moved on, but the lies didn't. And every time another case surfaces, every time another cooperation rumor appears, every time another artist gets quietly protected, his argument gets stronger. This isn't about clearing his name. It's about dragging the myth into the light. And whether people admit it or not, the conversation has already shifted. Fans question more. Receipts matter more. Silence looks suspicious. The illusion cracked. So here's the final takeaway. The biggest lie in hip-hop was never about one man snitching. The biggest lie was pretending everyone else didn't, or pretending it only mattered when it was convenient. And once that truth is out, there's no putting it back under the rug. Because the streets didn't write the rules. The industry did. And now, everyone's watching.